Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm calling my show the Peter Shit Show today because I'm once again on a shit show of a roller coaster ride. I'll get to that in a second. But in the meantime, sing with me, gesture at your screen, and hit the imaginary shit button on this video. I don't know. That YouTube ought to have like if your video is really bad, they got to have a shit button that you can press. Let's sing it again. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. So 2025 has been marked by a roller coaster ride of emotion, of heartbreak, of relapses, of almost losing my job multiple times. Just roller coaster ride. It all started when my friend at church set me up on a blind date and made me feel comfortable about asking other people out on dates. And then I went to my grandmother's funeral. And while I was in Taiwan, I met a girl there too. Now, I during the funeral service, I went up to the casket and I asked my grandmother to go talk to Mary Curry when she makes it to the other side to have Mary Curry set me up on a blind date. My dad was so upset at that remark, and also, Mary Curry discovered polonium 210. Polonium 210 is now made from bismuth. So I left a small chunk of bismuth, about the size of a small rock, in the casket. And my dad was just so upset at that remark because I had made such a scene at the funeral about it. And he reminded me, this is a funeral. This isn't some kind of party. Everybody just grieves in a different way. Doing that helped me forget that my grandmother was passing away. It felt like more like my grandmother was going on a trip to go see Mary Curry. Right in my mind, it made it feel more like that. But at the time, my dad was so upset. And my mom was also very upset that I was in such an upbeat mood about it. Because in my mind, I thought it was already a done deal. I thought for sure I was going to meet somebody through her. I don't know why. And so after the funeral, I got back to my parents went back home to the United States. I went to a hostel in Tamsui, which is north of Taipei, and even though I'm in Taiwan having a good time, for some reason I felt compelled to log on to Bumble. I hadn't used Bumble for 4 or 5 years at this point in time. And before I knew it, I met a girl in Taipei. And unfortunately, the last 3, 4 months, I've had good conversation with her, but it's been up and down and up and down. And when that goes up and down, so does my eating habits, and so does my work performance. And so does everything else, unfortunately. And so I've been sent on this roller coaster of a ride. I got home and then I met uh, a girl in Houston, and she was 1/4 Polish. And I don't know why I attract. Even before I asked my grandmother to talk to Mary Curry, I'm just a huge magnet for all of her relatives anyway. And so I never have any difficulty. I mean, yeah, not every relationship with one of her relatives works out. Sometimes it ends badly too. But I never have a problem putting my foot in the door with any of Mary Curry's distant cousins. I I even used the app when I was visiting her backyard a few 7, 8 years ago now, and I didn't have a hard time meeting a lot of people there either. And so I don't know why. And also, I was on a train from Warsaw to Gdansk Bay, and I mistakenly asked this guy if I could switch seats with him. I wanted to talk to the girl he was sitting next to. I didn't realize it was her husband. And so, and even then, it didn't end badly, though. I think he even told his wife, this guy wanted to talk. I hid out on the train after. I felt embarrassed. But later I learned that he actually told his wife about that, and they were kind of wishing me good fortunes in Poland. And so that's the kind of fortunes I have. Anyways, I went to Houston, but we discovered because of the distance, it wasn't going to work very well. And we still chat. She met some other guy, and she was asking me about some suggestions on how to get her family to accept him. I was asking her suggestions for the girl in Taiwan. And once again, the up and down, up and down, up and down. And my eating disorder has returned in full force. The other day, I almost lost my job over an eating disorder attack, unfortunately. Today, I got to apologize to this one colleague. I basically told him to get out of the office. I'm in the middle of eating. And so I I made myself eat a whole because I've been having a hard time of keeping good healthy relations. Right. If I have a relatively full stomach before I begin with the comfort foods, it's a lot easier to control. Right. That's been my strategy as of late. So now I eat celery for two different purposes, both for attracting people and for my eating disorder. It's, so it's all good, but I got a really bad performance review 3 months ago. What had happened was I was getting ready to visit the girl in Houston, and I forgot about the day of the review. And I was eating lunch, and my date says, "Oh, are you ready? We're going to meet in 20 minutes." Like, it was today, and so I very seldom do that. And not surprisingly, I was unprepared. It could have gone a whole lot better. And fortunately, I've turned that around. We had a good discussion the other day, and then I met the girl in here in Phoenix who is half Polish. I call her Eve Curry, but she was really late showing. Eve Curry was really late showing up to a date, and got me really concerned. And I decided to do some research on Mary Curry's family and see just see if there's anybody related to Mary Curry that I could meet someday. And that's when I discovered that her granddaughter Helene is still alive, 97 years old. And I decided she still had a university email, and I decided to email her, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I got a response. And once again, the roller coaster ride just continues, right? And I was telling her about my experiment of extracting radioisotopes from household dust and all that. And just up and down and up and down. And then we're still in the spring semester. I've been thinking about whether or not I want to continue teaching here in the summer because I don't like the summer heat wave here in Phoenix. I was hoping I could take a sabbatical in the summer, come back in the fall, but I wasn't sure if I could bring this up. And fortunately, I got a different teaching assignment at a different college for the fall. So now I'm kind of flexible. If I get summer work here, I'll take it, but I have the option of not taking it as well. So that's good. That's good. And once again, it put me on an upward sloping part of the ride, and I got to correct some eating habits now. And so it's just been a weird first half of the year. Unfortunately, I was at a church Easter event, and I have difficulty networking with people here. This is why I want to leave the country. Just none of the eyes and ears will point in my direction. Every time I go to a group that's even 5 or more people, actually strike that 3 or more people, and none of the eyes will point in my direction. Leave a comment if you've ever run into that. The best analogy I can give is that during the pandemic when you were working over Zoom, or if you're lucky enough to work over Zoom today, and have you ever tried to talk on Zoom and accidentally had your mute on and you're talking away and you're talking away? Maybe your camera was off too, so nobody even knew you were talking. You're talking away. You didn't realize your camera was off, your mute was on, and everybody's talking around you. You're wondering why nobody's responding to you. Unfortunately, that's how it often feels like in real life for me, and that's not typically a problem when I go to Taiwan or Poland. So that's why I wanted to take a trip this summer. Aside from escaping the heat wave, that's part of the reason why I wanted to take the trip this summer. Anyways, so just a little bit of a shit show of a few months so far. Today is Kelly Clarkson's birthday. Kelly Clarkson is probably also solosexual, so it's like a solosexual pride day as well. So, all right, please continue to pray for me by singing along, gesturing at your screen, and hitting the shit button on this, the imaginary shit button on this video. This is the Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Shit Show. Bum 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 bum.